Hello beautiful people, my name is Charlotte if you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you, and this is a really exciting reading vlog. So I am actually coming at you from the future where I have read all of the books that we're going to be reading today, and let me tell you, there are some good ones. So this was some of my anticipated releases, but also anticipated reads, books that I had been wanting to get my hands on for a while, but I had just been waiting for the time to get right. My seasonal girlies know, my girlies that cannot read fantasy in the summer no. So let's chat about the books that we read today. We started the vlog off with Daydream, the release of the third installment in the Maple Hills series. This is what we read first, and then I picked up Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia for Fairies. Now this one wasn't a new release, this was an anticipated read. I was so excited to be able to pick this up finally, as I'd just been waiting for the season to get right after kind of just getting into fantasy last autumn and not picking up in that time. We finished the week with another new release, Miss Elsie Silver's Wild Eyes. There were some good books this week, that is all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna love you and leave you and pass you back to past Charlotte. I thought it was time for an update. So I started Daydream last night, obviously, and I am 79 pages in. So I got 47 pages in last night, and then I've managed to get another 30 in today. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely more slow burn vibes than these two were. I feel like by page 80, yeah, like by this point in Icebreaker we were into spice. I literally just opened the book on page 78 and it's spice. So there's that. Yeah, this is definitely like way more slow burn, and I really like it, and I really like it for these characters. Like, it's working well for them, and yeah, I'm just enjoying it. It's nice just being back with these characters again. I think that's kind of the main thing with this series, is like, it's just nice seeing them. I do miss seeing Nate though. It kind of feels like, I think it felt like it in Wildfire as well, like you just don't really see Nate because he's away. Don't want to give a spoiler. You don't really see Nate, and it low-key makes it feel like, you know when like you're watching a TV series and an actor has like other projects that they're working on and they don't recast them, so you just don't see them? That's the vibe it's giving right now. But anyway, I am really enjoying it. I really like these characters. So I haven't said what it's about. So Daydream is about Henry, who is one of the hockey players that we see in books 1 and 2, and then we have Hallie, who is an aspiring novelist. And right now we have just kind of seen their interaction. So we had their meet cute, and we're seeing them form a friendship, which is really nice. It's really cute, very wholesome vibes, and yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I find them both quite relatable characters, so it's been enjoyable so far. I honestly find all of Hannah's characters very relatable, which is like one of my favourite things about her writing. Those are my thoughts so far. I'm going to try and read a little bit more this evening. I'd like to read 100 pages today, so hopefully another 70, but that might be really ambitious. Hello, it's time for another update. I love that noise so much. But as I was saying, it's time for an update on Daydream. So I am over halfway through now. I'm on page 253. So we are definitely over halfway. It's got 430 pages, I think, and thereabouts. So This is a hard one to talk about without giving spoilers, because there isn't too much. These books are very like character focused, I will say, and honestly it's just nice being with the friend group again. Like, we do get to see all of the characters from the first two books, which is really nice. Like, it's a really enjoyable thing. We're just kind of watching how well the two characters kind of are understanding each other, learning to understand each other, but yeah, not a whole amount is happening. Obviously it does say it on the back. It doesn't say it on the back, but it was said in the advertisement that Hallie is trying to write a novel, and Henry is trying to give her like some experience to help her out with that. I definitely feel like a lot of the novel stuff has taken a backseat. It's not something that we're hearing like Hallie talk about too much, but almost in a way where like she is the eldest daughter, and that is a big part of her character and a big part of her individual plot line. So we are kind of just exploring that a lot, I suppose, at the minute, which is definitely interesting, and I am definitely like really enjoying it. As you can see, like, I have done some tabbing. Some things are relatable. There was one quote, I need to read it to you, I need to find it. So basically there was a Happy Place reference, and I was instantly like, oh my god, I've never needed to tab something more. So this is how it goes. And now I'm letting two imaginary people called Harriet and Wynne tear my heart out via audiobook on 2x speed. So relatable, because we all know that is the effect that book had on us all. So, and Happy Place is one of my favourite books ever. So having that reference, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And there's so many Taylor Swift references because Hallie is a huge Swiftie. It's a really, I really am enjoying this book. But I am going to read it as I'm on my lunch break at the moment. I have 20 minutes left. So I want to get at least a chapter or two in. It's like a good few hours later. I have now finished work. I've had my dinner. We're going to try and finish Daydream. So I have gotten up to page 293. So I have 130 pages left. 135 pages left, I think. Although the epilogue's only 3 months later. Okay, I will read it because I'm not gonna lie, I don't love Hannah's epilogues. So I'm always a bit like, worried. Like, the icebreaker one did not do it for me. Anyway, we're gonna have a shower, grab a face mask and get settled, is what I've been trying to say. My brain is absolutely struggling right now. I have just finished work and I have Pilates in like less than an hour, like 45 minutes. And my brain is not with it. But I thought I would catch you up with where I am with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, because I'm 216 pages in and I've not updated you since Thursday. So, basic thoughts to begin with. I also don't think I've updated you with Daydream. I did finish it. We'll save my wrap-ups and everything to the end because my brain is not in a talking properly mood right now about Daydream. I can't, yeah, I'm not with it. Anyway, basic thoughts on Emily Wilde so far. I'm really enjoying it. It is very cozy vibes. However, this is like the slowest read of my life. The way it's written is really complicated. It's almost a little bit like Olivia Blake's writing, where it's... So like Emily Wilde, the main character of this book, is a scholar, and it's written in a scholarly way. So it uses a lot of like big words, more kind of complex sentence structures, things like that, that just, I don't know, for me, maybe where I'm more like used to reading more like simple things, it's just taking me a little bit longer to get through. Like normally like I read like a page a minute. This I'm reading like a page every 2 minutes, so it's just taking me a lot longer to get through. I have broken, like I am down to the 100 page point, and I'm gonna be honest, I really want to finish it tonight because Wild Eyes comes out tomorrow, and I'm hoping, praying, I haven't pre-ordered it, so I'm hoping, praying this on Kindle Unlimited, and I don't trust myself at the moment. Like basically at the moment I keep doing this thing where if I'm reading a book, but a book that I'm more excited about comes into my possession, I just DNF the book that I'm reading and pick up the book that I'm more excited about. And while this does help me massively from getting in slumps, it's not productive to my reading goal. It really is not. And I don't want to do it with this. I want to finish it. I am enjoying it. So if you're not too sure what this book is about, but you've seen it floating about, that's kind of the position that I was in. So this was an anticipated read for me because I'd just seen people talk about how like cozy vibes it is, how it's quite like just cozy and light academia, and I just really liked the sound of that. It definitely is giving cozy vibes, do not get me wrong. It is about Emily Wilde, who is a scholar at Cambridge, and she has travelled to she's travelled to the village of I don't know how you say it, it's a Norwegian village, Hrafnsvik. So it's set in like Norway, where she travels to basically research more about the fairies. She is writing an encyclopedia of fairies, and it's going to be like the kind of best piece that's out there on like fairy knowledge. And this last location is the only place that she has left to write about like the fairies that are there, because obviously in folklore anyway, we all believe like around the world there's all different kinds of fairies, so it also really heavily leans on that kind of folklore, which I found really interesting. Like there were some bits where she kind of spoke about the fairies in the Isle of Man, and I've been to the Isle of Man, and like the fairy stuff is really prominent around the island. Like there is a bridge that you go over and you have to speak to the fairies, like there's a little thing, like it's still very much like a prominent part of their culture. So I found that really interesting reading about kind of the like Norwegian folk, and they call the fairies the folk in this book. But yeah, it's really interesting. She has a kind of academic rival almost in Wendell Bambury, Bambleby. And yeah, it's super cutesy vibes. The blurb doesn't give a lot away, so I don't want to give a lot away. There is plot, but like it's not strong plot, but it's also not just vibes. And I think this is also why it's a bit of a slow read, because it's a really good book for escapism. Like I'm really finding that I can escape into the book, escape into the world, but I'm not like, I need to pick it up and find out what happened, because we're just discovering more about the fairies and more about the folklore a lot of the time, and getting more in with the village folk or the village peoples. So yeah, but I am enjoying it. Normally when I'm at this point of having 100 pages left of a book, I can give it a star rating. I can't with this. I am lost, like so lost. I really do not know what that rating is going to be anywhere near, but I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it as a piece of escapism, and yeah, I'm hoping that I'll finish it after Pilates tonight. I don't know if it's really unrealistic goal, but I would really like to, as I said, so I can just start Wild Eyes tomorrow, because I'm really excited about that. Really excited. I saw a lot of people get it from the works today, so I was thinking about going to Asda after Pilates to see if they had it out, since last week I got Daydream obviously early in Asda, but I think I need to focus on finishing this and then trying to get my next read, and just hope that if it's not on Kindle Unlimited that I go to Asda on my lunch break and it is available. But I'm gonna try and read a little bit more of this before I head to Pilates. I've got 10 minutes until I need to kind of start to leave, so time to crack on. It is absolutely getting into autumn now, because tell me why it's 5 to 8 and it's like nearly dark. But update, I finished Emily Wilde this morning. I didn't manage to finish it last night. I honestly, like, I can't decide on my thoughts on this. Normally I can hop straight on Goodreads, or I've been using Fable and I can rate a book straight away. This I can't. I genuinely do not know what to rate this book at all. I am at a loss. Oh, I am at an absolute loss. Yeah, I'm really stuck, I can't lie. But I did pick up Wild Eyes in my lunch break. I had a really busy day at work today, so I only got to read in my lunch break. So I am so excited. I'm gonna have I finished work like 2 hours ago, and I just was filming some content for TikTok, had dinner, and I've just been sat watching reels, which I never watch reels, but every now and then I just get an urge to. Like, if someone sends me them, then I end up going down a real rabbit hole, because then I would, like, once someone sends me one, I want to send one back. So I've just been sat watching those. But I'm gonna get in a shower now and wash my hair. We've got some lemon Coke Zero, so I'm gonna have one of those and just get super cozy. But yeah, I'm really excited to keep reading this. So far I'm absolutely loving it. The meet cute is my favorite meet cute of any book I think I've ever read. Like, he saved her from a bear in chapter 1. Like, that is absolutely my favorite thing ever. I'm obsessed, and yeah, I'm really excited to read this. It's obviously, it's an Elsie Silver, so it should be quite a quick read, which I'm also very much looking forward to, because I feel like I haven't really had a quick read. Well, I guess Daydream was kind of a quick read, but not too much, so they're excited. Coming at you with an update on Wild Eyes. So far I am, I think, just under 50%, or like around 40% of the way through. Yes, I'm 41% of the way through, and I am definitely really enjoying this. I would say it's probably, so far, it's kind of one of my favourite Elsie Silvers. I think the Rose Hill series I might prefer that over Chestnut Springs, just because these feel a lot more like romance based, where a lot of Chestnut Springs feels very physical. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm hoping I'm going to finish it today. I've got the next 5 days off of work, so I want to finish this today and then start filming a 24-hour readathon tomorrow, which I'm a little bit nervous about, but what else are you going to do with annual leave? So yeah, I'm feeling really tired actually. I had like a late, and you know when you then get up like a little bit late but you're still like, oh, that's how I'm feeling. But that's how you know you needed it, so I'm glad that I did just chill out this morning. So yeah, I'm gonna go make some breakfast and finish reading, and then this afternoon I'd like to go to the work. Well, I'm gonna go somewhere that has the works and As the Living to try and pick up the physical copy, because I've already got the physical copy of Wild Love, so I definitely want to like continue the collection, especially with how much I'm enjoying this book and this series as a whole. I'm also really enjoying how we are seeing the characters from Wild Love in Wild Eyes. If you don't know what Wild Eyes is about, this follows Weston, who is Rosalie's from Wild Love's brother, and he is a single dad. This is a series of all single dad books. My brain is not working, guys. I've not had a coffee. So yeah, we follow Weston. He is a single dad and a horse trainer, so we're really getting the cowboy element in this book. And the FMC is Skylar Stone, who is a country singer, but like she is more like LA. She never like grew up in the country. Like, she's very much like an artificially, she's a bit of an industry plant, shall we say, and she has had like a really tough time actually with her family and stuff, and she's had some tough things go on, which has led her to forward grants from Wild Love's recording studio to work secretly, basically. So we're kind of following her on that journey and kind of how she meets West, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's super cute. I feel like if you're reading like a small town romance or a cowboy romance and the MMC's name is Western, you know it's gonna hit hard as a cowboy romance. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna sit down and finish this and get some breakfast. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Her writing is definitely really different from Chestnut Springs, and honestly I think I prefer it now. It's a lot more, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just different. It's not kind of some of the Chestnut Springs books, in my opinion, the MMC's POV especially is really over-sexual, whereas I feel like that's kind of been ironed out in these books, and yeah, really enjoying them. So I'm gonna go and read now instead of talking about reading. I have gone and got my physical copy of Wild Eyes from the works, and it has the mountain spine, which I'm really glad about. I was really scared that I wasn't gonna be able to get one with the mountain spine, but I think anything that's a first edition does, so. Oh my god, it looks so good. They match up like really, really well. I think I read this on Kindle, so I think, yeah, like the spine's really well intact. I feel like if the spines were to like get a little bit damaged, or like, you know when you just read a physical book and they kind of like puff out a bit, I feel like if that was to happen you wouldn't get the mountains lining up as well. But yeah, it's looking, they look so cute together. So very happy about that. And then I did buy another book as well, which I'll show you. So I got out on a limb. I brought this a little while ago, and like the pages were falling out. I had to take it back, but this time she's intact. I checked them all so well because I was terrified. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to read this. I've seen so many people read this book lately and have like just raved about it. So super excited to have this in my possession. But yeah, I'm gonna try and finish Wild Eyes now. I'm not sure how far through I got. My Kindle is downstairs. I want to make some popcorn, have a Coke Zero. I got some mini M&Ms as well, so I'm gonna put that in my popcorn mix. Although I got hot popcorn, so I'm not hot popcorn. I got microwave popcorn, so I'm not sure how well that mix. But yeah, I'm probably gonna just continue to read on my Kindle purely so the spine doesn't get ruined, and then the whole collection will like match up nicely. Also, if you've been looking at this book and you keep putting them back because they have this smudge on, I saw a TikTok about it because someone was like, oh my god, all the ones in my works have this smudge on. This smudge is meant to be there, so like if all of the ones in your store have that, that's how it's meant to be. Which is kind of annoying. I feel like there should be more of them than just like one tiny one there, because it doesn't look purposeful. Let's talk about the books that we read this week. So I didn't really do reviews as we were reading, and that is because I'm just enjoying sitting with my thoughts a little bit more around books. Now I feel like something I have been doing is just rushing into my reviews, and I end up when I first finish a book I rate it really highly, because if I've enjoyed it, I'm like 4.5 stars, easy. And then I sit back and I'm like, that wasn't a 4.5 star read. So let's run through my genuine thoughts on these books. So book one that we read this week, Daydream by Hannah Grace. One thing I will say is this is absolutely my favourite book in the Icebreaker series. I adored this so much. I knew I was excited for Henry's book, and I'm not gonna lie, I was worried going into this because there's been so many times where I've been so excited for a character's book or just like the next book in a series, and I've been left disappointed. I feel like that's something everyone feels happened with Chestnut Springs. I'm trying to think of other books that it may or may not have happened in, but I feel like we all remember with Chestnut Springs, Beau's book came out and everyone was like, oh, like this isn't what we kind of expected or what we like wanted from Beau's book. And I definitely had that fear with Henry, because I know that Hannah had kind of said that her like writing process had changed, her like the way she writes the characters had changed because she's changed a lot, and all of the characters she takes from herself. That is something that she says in the author's note, that she takes the characters from herself, like all of them have been. But I still really enjoyed it, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. Something that I really enjoyed in this book is that there really wasn't too much spice in a way that worked for the characters, and actually then when you kind of go back and look at the others, the spice levels make sense for the characters and who they are and what the books are doing. Like obviously Icebreaker is very spicy, but it makes sense for what Stassi and Nate kind of set out with. So same kind of with Wildfire. And the lack of spice really made sense for Henry and Hallie. I adored these characters. I love so much of this. There was so much character development. I felt like both of them kind of grew, but also like they just understood each other and they put that effort into understanding each other. You could definitely see that Hallie naturally understood Henry a little bit more because of other people in her life, but like she was still putting the effort in to understand him a little bit more and like grow with him, and I just loved it. there wasn't really anything that I didn't like about this book, so I did give it 4.5 stars. The reason it wasn't 5 stars is 5 stars is a feeling. That's all I can say. There's been so many books where I'm like, there's nothing I would change, but it's still a 4.5. Like, 5 stars is a feeling. I think you either know it's a 5 stars or you don't, and this didn't quite hit 5 stars for me. I can count on the amount of hands. That made no sense. I'm pretty sure I can count on one hand the amount of like true romance books that have been a 5 star for me. I do think the only one is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I wouldn't even count that as like a true romance because that is way more of a like fiction book with a romance plot almost. So that is the thoughts on Daydream. We then went into Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Fairies. Okay, I picked this up being like, it's like 300 pages. This is going to be like a really nice quick read. Like, I just want something that's going to bridge the gap between Daydream and Wild Eyes coming out. And yeah, it did bridge that gap, but this took me a really long time to read. And no, it's not in a way that I didn't enjoy it. The language is more complex than in a regular contemporary fiction. It is obviously the character Emily Wilde who is writing a diary. So this book is written in diary entries. She is an academic, and obviously when she writes her diary entries, the diary is something that she says is for like her to come back to, or like for people to come back to if like something happens to her. So it is kind of written in more of an academic way. I had like seen people say things like that online, so definitely something to just be conscious of if you are picking this up. But I did really enjoy it. I found it really interesting how all of the fae and the fairies, I would actually say that this is probably quite a good book to read when you are just getting into like a fae based fantasy and like fairy fantasy, because now I feel like I have a sound knowledge on like fae and fairies, because realistically the majority of books are using like folklore to come up with their ideas of fae and fairies and everything like that. So I feel like that's like, it's quite good in that way. It was interesting in places. It was very, very slow in places. Obviously it is a cozy fantasy, so that is to be expected. And then the plot really picked up towards the end, and it was kind of like, oh, I really wasn't expecting this. It was quite interesting, and there was like a romance element that I wasn't really expecting, and it wasn't the strongest. Yeah, it was an enjoyable read, and I really struggled with a rating for this one. I think I've given it, I think I've decided on 4 stars, because anything lower than that feels too low, because I did enjoy it and I can see myself continuing the series. It's definitely just going to be ones like I pick this up when I'm in the mood for it kind of series, just because of how wordy it is. And yeah, I definitely found like if I was reading it of an evening, I was falling asleep whilst reading it, and if I was reading it of a morning, it was taking me a really long time. Once you were like, if you were sat down in like a long block reading, it wasn't too bad because you could really like get into it. So yeah, I think I kind of say things like that throughout. It also does have like a long preview of like the next book, and I think like books that are similar, yeah, like there's a bit where it's like, if you enjoyed this book, you might enjoy this book, and then gives you like a sample of that book. So it's quite nice that it gives you all of that bonus content. But yeah, 4 stars for Emily Wilde. And then we picked up Wild Eyes. I love an Elsie Silver book, and I really like this series. I've definitely seen a lot of mixed things about this book and this series as a whole. It is really different to Chestnut Springs, I will say that. I definitely feel like these books focus less on the romance and more on like the characters developing, which I feel like Chestnut Springs, I don't feel like it does as much. It's a lot more like romance focused, and like you see the slight changes from the characters more in the sense of like they're all in like a small town now, or like they've had like, that public redemption, things like that. Like this felt like you could take the romance out and it would still be a book, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed it. So I don't think I actually spoke about this at all whilst I was reading it, so sorry guys, I was just obsessed. I love books about celebrity, not just celebrities, the concept of celebrity and fame and the kind of negative sides of that. That is genuinely one of my favourite topics in books. Like, I find it so fascinating. So this really appealed to me. It's about Skylar Stone, who is a singer, and after like loads of bad press, which you see in Wild Love, like you see the previews of this in Wild Love, she comes to Rose Hill to start recording with Ford Grant, Willa's brother, and the producer who's just opened the studio in Rose Hill. So Skylar comes, and then basically she gets into town, and the first person that she meets is West, and they are the characters that we then see have a romance. So yeah, really enjoyed the elements of celebrity in this. I really enjoyed the third act conflict. I think the third act conflict focused on something that is like, it's a huge issue for women in the public eye, and I thought it was really interesting that Elsie focused on that. Like, I wasn't expecting that to be where the third act conflict came from at all, and I loved it. It was so different to anything I've ever read before, and just like really interesting. So yeah, absolutely loved that. The one thing that I feel like let this book down quite a bit was I actually felt like there was too much spice and not enough like date scenes. And I've seen a few people on TikTok say the same, spoken to people in comments about it, where if the scenes that had been kind of spice scenes had been date scenes, it would have made the relationship so much better. I definitely feel like I enjoyed this book more for the storyline rather than the relationship, if that makes sense. Because yeah, there's definitely like moments where, or as a whole, I saw someone say that normally in an Elsie Silver book you watch the couple fall in love, but in Wild Eyes you don't really. They're just kind of in love and you're like, oh, when did this happen? And I do think it's because there was so much spice, like that it really took away. But then I also think that makes sense for the characters and a lot of the things that you learn about the characters. It's a bit of a tricky one because these are quite like different characters to any other Elsie Silver book, I would say. They're regarded, they've both been through a lot, but not in the same way, but in the way that they both have. I feel like the other kind of Elsie Silver books, you can kind of almost compare it similarly to like Beau, but like even then, like they both have, like Beau and Bailey, they both have like their own things. I don't know, but yeah, I enjoyed it and I gave this 4.5 stars, and I've been speaking about this specific book for a while. But those are my thoughts on the book, and I'd actually really love to know your guys' thoughts on all of those books if you've read them, because I definitely feel like they're ones that like people have different opinions on. Like there's not like a resounding opinion, do you know what I mean? So let me know your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for watching and making it this far. If you have made it this far, comment the little wheat emoji for our small town king, and yeah, I will catch you in the next one.